All right, prior to us moving on, let me get this done real fast. Favorite woke expressions, act. Basically, to sum it up, is there anything woke that you can actually get on board with? You can make a quick answer. It doesn't matter. For instance, I ain't gonna say Randy's.
Or ironically.
Yeah. Huh? Oh yeah, sure. I mean like. No.
He supported it. I answered it as if it's funny to hear it.
Oh no, like you're all like you don't care, is what I mean. Like you hear it, you're all like, you know what? I ain't even gonna fight it. Like okay, that's cool. Like the closest thing. Either one of you.
It's the whole you should accept people for being them. You know, like that whole thing is like you should accept people for who they are, but I'm not going to accept you for who you are. I don't care how you think. You need to conform to me. You need to conform to my ideology. And I'm like, look, I respect you and I appreciate you for who you are until you start telling me that I can't think the way I want to think. I'm not going to go around and be an asshole to you. I'm not going to be mean. I'm not going to put you down. But I'm also not going to conform to your ideologies if you're not going to conform to mine. I can agree to disagree. Best phrase I've ever heard.
Right, and I think that would be mine too, is, you know, accept people for who they are, and kind of goes along with their other one of bringing recognition to certain types of people or whatever, you know, like disabled people or people who are Native American or lesser represented people, you know, but I think they go too far with it. So I think bringing awareness to people that exist. I mean, it's a stupid expression to say like, oh, trans people exist or whatever. It's like, yeah, but
they've always existed.
But it's like
go back 20 years ago. You know, the drag shows were going on. My mom used to go watch drag shows.
Right, but it's like that's not the argument. That's not the argument at play, and you're changing the subject so that everyone will focus on you know, something that is true, but not the issue that everyone is trying to point at.
I don't think trans and drag's the same.
They're not 100%
really.
the same.
It's birthed in the same way.
I don't think trans and drag's the same thing. I think one's like, not just entertainment. I guess like a way of lifestyle too. But the other one is literally, I am this gender, or it's.
Okay, what if a drag show was the only place that they felt comfortable enough to express that behavior?
Go to a drag show, I guess.
Yeah, okay, then that's where they would go. They would go and dress in drag.
Yeah.
And be at the drag show, and they would do that stuff because that's where they feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah, exactly. But when they go to the drag show, that's when they're drag. Now, when they're outside, they're still trans, is my point.
They could be, sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I don't think, just because you're drag, I don't think that makes you trans, was my point. It's two different things.
Well, yeah, sure, but they could be intertwined and stuff. You know, I mean.
Yeah. I ain't disagreeing. I was just saying, it sounded like you made the point, like if you're drag, you're trans.
Okay,
also.
but the thing there is, there are places you can go to be comfortable in your own skin.
Yes.
And there are places where people will accept you for who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, out in public on the side of the road or on the street or in the grocery store,
mm-hmm.
you can't expect people to bow down and make you feel comfortable. Especially when what you're doing may make them uncomfortable. The best thing you can do there is just to go your own way. Don't go out and be like, don't go out and be all like, oh, look at that person over there. They look like a big old dummy. They look like a big dummy. You know, it's like, no, don't go out and be an asshole. If you don't accept it, you don't like it, then don't mess with it.
100% agree.
You don't have to associate with somebody you don't want to associate with.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, we're on the same page. I just wanted to clear it up, like, in case anyone's listening.
I love everybody. I love everybody.
Okay.
I treat everybody the same. I love everybody.
Yeah. I was actually just gonna say, it's like I think I knew exactly how he was trying to describe it. Was that, like, for instance, like he was talking about like 20 years ago, for instance, where it was more uncommon place to be talked about as far as trans goes. So a drag show would be more common that you would find something like that 20 some odd years ago or whatever. Versus now, where it is a little bit more socially acceptable. Yeah, so it's like it's just the scene changed, the act remained.
Yeah, I think it's a big problem because what we're seeing is the focus on like be aware of everyone's uniqueness, but we don't give a shit about your uniqueness anymore. You know, because now they'll come into, let's say, gaming or whatever. You know, you have a very distinct group of people where they think very similarly, they behave very similarly to each other, and then you have people who will come in and say, we want gaming to be this, and then they'll come in. It's like, okay, you can be a part of gaming if you love, you know, playing games or whatever. You can be a part of our group. It's fine. I don't have an issue with it. And then they say, well, you have to make these changes. And it's like, no, I don't want to make these changes because I love what I love. And you're coming in as a guest. I invited you in, allowed you in, and now you're saying that I'm not allowed in my own space anymore because I'm not doing what you want me to do.
Yeah, now you want to uproot the system. I go back to religion with this one. Like, with religion, I'm not a religious person, but I respect religion. I think it's important. I think it helps build a moral fabric in our society. But I live in a very Christian area. Am I going to go around and tell everybody they can't be Christian? No, I'm not going to walk in the church and try to snuff it out, because I don't care. As long as you're having a good time doing what you're doing, you're not hurting anybody else, then do it. You know, if I really hated this Christian area so much, then I'll go find an atheist area or somewhere that believes in what I believe in. You know, I don't have to stay here in this area, and that's what a lot of people think, is like I'm confined to this area in which I've been placed, and I can't leave it. But you totally can. You don't have to make everybody else around you change their ways for you. You can find the place that accepts your ways and be with them. Be happy.
I think you said that pretty well, because it's no different than like finding a relationship. Really, you can't expect everyone you look at to love you, but you will find someone that does love you. You just have to go out and look.
Not really next subject, because I'm gonna take back my first original answer. And an interesting thing, like woke thing, is like shut up. People. Okay, so people first language. So like instead of saying a disabled person, people want a person with disabilities. So referring them to as a person before their ailment or any sort of other thing, like instead of saying an autistic person, it's a person with autism.
Yeah, and you have a funny thing where, you know, back in the day it was colored person, and then now we're kind of going full circle where it's person of color. I think that's pretty ironic.
Yeah, like I'm right there with you as far as like the whole the telling of. God dang it! What is going on? No. But like I said, no, I like where you're going there with that, because like for me, I never really liked how people would address people with ailments, because it always sounds like patronizing, and it's never just talking to someone as a person. And that's what kind of like, I guess, kind of gets under my skin, is because they are still people.
Yeah.
Despite anything that's wrong with them, it's like they're people. So it's like, talk to them as a person. You know, to be friends with them as you would any other person.
Exactly.
And I think that's something a lot of people lose out on. Like for me, growing up, there was a kid that he couldn't, if I'm not mistaken, he couldn't really hear well, and when it came to talking, he couldn't necessarily pronounce his words. I don't know exactly what you call it. I want to say mute, but he can make sound.
A lot of deaf people have struggles whenever it comes to it.
And to be honest, I can't really say I understood a word he said, but nonetheless, I just talked to him friendly and just like was friends with him and like laughed and hung out with him like anybody else, because like I don't need him to communicate just like everyone else for me to be friends with him.
Yeah, you put in more effort than most people were willing to, just to even remotely get a chance at maybe I will be able to understand this kid one day. Like,
yeah, or even not.
Friends, even
exactly. It's like, or even not. It's just like he's a person just like me, and it's
precisely.
Like I can't imagine how I would feel if someone talked to me like I was less than.
Yeah, and I mean, you see that a lot. But I think there's a problem these days with activist groups where they will take someone like that and say, society hates you, so you should join us and fight back. And I think the issue is that a lot of these activist-minded people want to fight a perpetual battle, but they don't they don't know what they're fighting. They just know that they want to fight something.
They're fighting to be treated normally, but also to be treated differently because they want to be treated special. When you're an activist and you're going out there and you're saying these things, you're preaching, oh, everybody's oppressing us. We're being oppressed. We're not doing good. Everybody wants us down. They want us down. They want to see us suffer. And it's, but nobody really wants to see you suffer. And anybody that does, everybody else is going to stand with you on that. There's bad apples in every group. And of course, there's going to be that one person who is legitimately an asshole. Regardless of what they're making fun of you for, that's just being an asshole. You can label it however you want, but that's being an asshole. You just don't go out and be an asshole to somebody. But when you go out and be an asshole on behalf of somebody who has been treated poorly, you're no better than the asshole that treated them poorly. We should all stand up against the assholes.
Yeah.
We're just making problems where there aren't none there.
Right.
We're bored. We need if we aren't doing something. Yeah, exactly. If we aren't doing something where, what is it?
We don't have something to fight.
Yeah, this is the good part about wars because. And it's
Yeah.
I love war.
I love war.
No,
Destruction.
it's
Racism and war. We got those.
what was it like? 9/11, that's a huge one.
Right.
I don't know if I need to block that out because it really did unite us in a way.
Because it feels like progression. Because if you have something that everyone is collectively fighting, you have a collective enemy or you have a collective direction for people to go in. And people do kind of need that. Everyone needs that in life, a direction to go in. Because if you have no battles to fight, then what do you have? You have the moment that you're in.